Hello guys and welcome to my video. It's Moshman, and on today's video I am going to analyze the poem Sonnet 73 by William Shakespeare with you. So before we go deeper in the analysis, I want us to read the poem as a whole. It goes like this. That time of the year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Barren choirs were laid, the sweet birds sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away death's second self, that seals up all the rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well which thou must live ere long. So before we dive into the analysis, I want us to look at the type and form or the structure of the poem. This is a Shakespearean sonnet, also known as Elizabethan sonnet. It consists of 14 lines divided into 3 quatrains, a unit of 4 lines, and a rhyming couplet, which is a unit of 2 lines. So the rhythm is in iambic pentameter. The rhyme scheme is ABAB, CD, EF, and GG. So now let's look at the analysis of the whole poem. In each quatrain, the speaker uses a different image to show the progression of life from youthfulness to old age and death. The following images have been used. In quatrain number 1, the speaker used an image of a tree, and in quatrain number 2, he used the image of a sunset, and the last quatrain, he used the image of a glowing fire, a dying fire. So here is the simple analysis of the first quatrain. That time of the year thou mayst in me behold. So the speaker here in this line, he means that time of the year you see in me, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. When it's late autumn and leaves fall off the tree because of the coldness, upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Barren choirs were laid, the sweet birds sang. Barren choirs represent branches of a tree, meaning that barren choirs is a metaphor. Branches of a tree are compared to choirs in a church. Where laid, the sweet birds sang. Choirs in a church, they sing their songs, and birds, when they are in the branches of tree, they also make their noise. They also make noise. They sing their own songs. So in this quatrain, the speaker compares his current state to autumn, a season when the leaves fall from the branches. The branches shake because of the cold winter. This means that he is getting older and losing his youth, just like the trees that lose their green leaves. The church buildings where the birds once sat on and sang is now in ruins. The quietness that is caused by the absence of birds is parallel to how life it is. There is quietness that comes with getting old, when the youthful exuberance no longer exists. So now let's look at quatrain number 2. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, meaning that in me you see a dusk, a time after the sun has set, as after sunset fadeth in the west, when still is the sunset, which by and by black night doth take away. This line means that sunset fades into night time, death's second self, that seals up all the rest. Then death's second self is a personification. Death has been personified to have a second self. So in this quatrain, the speaker compares his progress toward death as moving from dusk to the night time. The change in the comparison from a season to a day shows the speed with which aging affects the body. Now let's look at quatrain number 3. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire. Meaning that in me you see a dying fire, a fire that is about to die. That on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire. Meaning that the fire is about to sleep on the ashes, consumed with that which it was nourished by. Ashes are from a wood log. Then, meaning that ashes and a wood log is one and the same thing. The fire is being nourished by the wood logs. So now the ashes eat that fire. So the third quatrain represents the death that the speaker has been leading to. In this quatrain, the speaker's life is compared to a fire that will soon be extinguished. He refers to both literal death and figurative death, which signifies the end of his youth. Now let's move to the couplet, the rhyming couplet. This thou perceivest, which make thy love more strong, to love that well, which thou must live ere long. So the speaker in this line means that this, as you can see a tree, and you can see the sunset, you can see a dying fire. As you can see those three images, they make your love to be strong, to love someone knowing that it won't last forever, meaning that the love will be limited by death. So the speaker introduces the reader to the importance of love. He wants the reader to see how life is so that they value their time together. He reminds us that we need to love well because we will have to live, we will have to die before long. So now let's look at the themes of the poem. The first theme of the poem is aging. In the poem, the speaker explores how it feels like to get older and face the reality that death is imminent, the effect of time on one's physical health, and the mental fear associated with the moving further from youth and closer to death. Part of growing old is having longing for the years gone by, and aging is also associated with a sense of peace and calm as life begins to slow down. Comparing the speaker to a tree in late autumn reveals the speaker's advancing age. However, the yellow falling leaves that shake from the cold are clear signs that the tree is not ready yet for winter. The comparison of the bare branches where the birds no longer sing to ruined churches where the choirs no longer sing reveals how the speaker mourns the loss of his youthful appearance. The absence of birds implies the peace and quietness that comes with old age. So let's look at the second theme of the poem. The second theme of the poem is death. So in the second quatrain, the moving image of twilight that is fading as the sun sets in the west and turns into darkness symbolizes the last moment the speaker has. And the image of fire that is extinguishing and turning into ashes in the third quatrain represent a youthful life that is well lived. The ashes represent a beautiful life that has come to an end. In the couplet, the speaker tells the reader that death helps people to love and cherish each other more while they are still on earth. So the third theme is love. In line 13, the speaker introduces the theme of love. Although love can triumph over many obstacles, it's still limited by mortality and nature. So in the poem, love is discussed from the point of view of the life cycle. The speaker wants the reader to understand that life is not too long and it may be too late to enjoy the light feeling of love. So the speaker therefore advises the readers to fall in love as much as possible and to love when people have a chance, because love is limited by death. So now let's look at the tone and mood of the poem. So the tones, the first tone of the poem is pensive and mourning, because the speaker sees his closeness to death. The second one is melancholic, as the speaker explains that he is aging. And the third one is tender. So the mood in the poem is sentimental and sorrowful. Now let's look at the figurative languages, or the literal devices found in the poem. The first literal devices in the poem is in line number 2. When yellow leaves is assonance, the figure of speech is assonance. When, the en in the word when, and the ye in the word yellow is assonance. So the second one is alliteration in line number 8. Death second self, that seals, the S sound is repeated. So in line number 4, there is a metaphor, bare ruined choirs. And line number 10, there is also a metaphor, which is ashes of youth. We also have a metonyme in line number 4. A metonyme is the figure of speech that replaces the name of things with something else which is closely associated. Bare ruined choirs is a substitute for bare branches of trees. So in line number 5 to 6, we have a simile. The speaker compares his life to daytime when twilight is replaced by sunset. And line number 7 to 8, we have a personification. Death. A death personified as women to have a second self. We also have a symbolism. The speaker uses sunset and night to symbolize the end of death. And we also have imagery. The first image is in the line, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. There's an image of a tree, leaves falling from a tree. Another image is black night. The words black night and sunset fadeth. Another one, we also have alliteration. Sweet bird sang, line number 4. The repetition of the S sound. And there's another alliteration in line number 7. By and by black night, the repetition of B sound. Another alliteration is in line number 8. That second self, the repetition of S sound. And in line number 14, to love that well which thou must live ere long. Live ere long, the repetition of the L sound. We also have apostrophe in line number 13. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong. Apostrophe, the words thou and thy, they are apostrophes. So we have reached the end of our video. Please support me by subscribing, liking and commenting to my video. Don't forget to share on social medias.